Shasa Ben had mastered two very different versions of herself. The office Shasa, polite, quiet, professional, always holding a notebook and always standing 2 steps behind her boss, Jing Leon. And then there was the secret Shasa, the one who shared a home, a bed, and a marriage certificate with that same aloof CEO. No one in Leon Group knew. Not the employees, not the executives, not even Jing's closest family members. It was an agreement, one that was supposed to keep both of them safe. But secrets never stayed buried forever. "Miss Ben, my office. Now." Jing Leon's voice cut through the hallway like a blade. Tall, sharp-featured, immaculate in a charcoal suit, he didn't even spare her a glance as he strode past. People moved aside like he was royalty or a storm they were trying to avoid. Shasa followed him quietly, trying not to look too familiar. Inside his office, Jing closed the door behind her, slowly, quietly, and then, click, he locked it. Shasa swallowed. "You, needed something, sir?" Jing turned, and the ice in his eyes melted instantly. "What's wrong with your voice?" he murmured, stepping close enough that she had to tilt her head up. "Why are you talking like I'm a stranger?" "Because you are a stranger during office hours," he sighed, and brushed a thumb across her cheek. "I hate this rule." "It was your rule," she reminded him. "That's before I realized I'd want to kiss my wife in my office every morning." Her heart fluttered. Jing Leon didn't compliment often, but when he did, she felt it for hours. "Tonight," he said softly. "Come home early. I'll cook." Shasa almost smiled. "Almost. You cook? Last time you nearly set the kitchen on fire." "That was one time," he muttered. "It was last week." He narrowed his eyes at her. "Mrs. Leon, are you mocking your CEO?" Panic flashed across her face. Jing, don't call me that here." He smirked, leaned closer, and whispered, "Then don't provoke me." And just like that, the cold CEO mask slipped back on. Jing stepped away, unlocked the door, and his voice returned to his usual deep, emotionless tone. "Prepare the contract drafts for the afternoon meeting," he said loudly, clearly aware employees outside might hear. "Yes, sir," she said, bowing slightly. And the distance returned. Fake, necessary, suffocating. Shasa hadn't married Jing Leon out of romance, not originally. She had married him to survive. A year ago, her father's company was on the brink of being destroyed by a rival corporation connected to Jing's half-brother, Leon Hart. Shasa remembered that night vividly. The rain had been pouring. She was desperate. Her family was falling apart. And Jing Leon, cold, controlled, dangerous, had made her an offer. "Marry me. I'll protect your family, and I'll never ask you for anything in return." She had agreed. She never expected him to actually care. She never expected him to soften. She never expected him to become important. But he had. And that was the problem. Because the more she loved him, the more impossible their situation became. The balance of their double life cracked the moment the new intern, Emily Key, arrived. Emily was everything Shasa wasn't. Bubbly, bold, flirty, and absolutely fearless around the CEO. The moment she entered the office, she gasped dramatically. "Oh my God, the Jing Leon! I've heard you're super strict, but also super handsome." Shasa froze mid-step. Employees looked horrified. Jing looked bored, or so it seemed. Emily leaned closer to him,
If you ever need an assistant, sir, I work very close to... Chasa's stomach twisted. Jing's expression turned cold. I have an assistant. Emily smiled sweetly. Oh, you mean Miss Ben? She looks too soft to handle a man like you. Every vein in Chasa's body buzzed. But Jing didn't even blink. She handles me just fine, he said calmly. Chasa nearly dropped the file she was holding. Emily blinked. Oh, I see. But she clearly didn't, and Chasa could feel something dangerous blooming in the girl's eyes. That same afternoon, Jing called Chasa back into his office. Cancel your evening plans, he said casually, not looking up from his computer. Chasa frowned. Why? I thought you wanted to cook tonight. I do, but my mother wants us to attend a family dinner. Chasa stiffened. Jing, you know we can't go together. They don't know about us. His eyes lifted, dark, serious. She's getting suspicious. Chasa breath caught. Suspicious? About what? That I'm hiding something. He leaned back in his chair. That I'm hiding someone. Her heartbeat stumbled. We can't reveal anything. I'm not asking to reveal, he said quietly. Just attend, as my assistant. Her mind raced. On a family dinner? She said I spend too much time with you, he said. So she invited you specifically. Chasa stared. She what? She wants to meet the woman I can't work without, her words. Chasa fainted. Attending a family dinner with Jing Leon while secretly married to him was a disaster waiting to happen. But Jing, what if someone notices something? Then, he said softly, I'll hold your hand under the table. Her eyes widened. Jing, what? You think I'm letting you sit there alone while my mother interrogates you? This isn't funny. He crossed the room, stopped in front of her, and gently tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I won't let anything happen to you. Not with my family, not with my company, not with anyone. His voice was calm. Too calm. A warning hidden beneath affection. Chasa hesitated, then nodded. I'll go. He exhaled slowly, relief flashing in his glaze before the cold CEO mask dropped back into place. Good. Now go prepare the reports. Chasa left, but her heart was pounding, because attending that dinner meant risking everything. Their secret, their agreement, and their fragile, growing love. And she had a terrible feeling something or someone would try to tear them apart.
Shasa Ben spent the rest of the afternoon feeling like her heartbeat was trapped somewhere in her throat, refusing to settle. If Emily's sudden interest hadn't shaken her enough, Jing Leon's mother's unexpected invitation had pushed her straight into a storm. By the time the office day ended, she was so distracted she nearly forgot to shut down her computer. Jing, of course, noticed instantly. He always noticed everything when it came to her. Shasa, his voice lowered, meant only for her. Come with me. He didn't wait for her reply, simply walked toward the private elevator reserved only for him. She followed, keeping a polite distance in case anyone was watching. But the moment the elevator doors closed, Jing reached for her hand and squeezed gently. Are you nervous about tonight? He asked quietly. She hesitated. A little. Your mother is intimidating. That's because she's used to getting her way. And I'm not exactly the kind of woman she imagines for you. Jing turned at her sharply. Don't do that. Do what? Talk like you're less than anyone. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer.
You're my wife. You're everything. Her pulse tripped over itself. You don't have to say things like that just to comfort me. I'm not comforting you, he said simply. I'm stating a fact. Before she could respond, the elevator doors opened, revealing the basement parking lot and his sleek black car. He gestured for her to get in. Let's go home first. You need to change. Shasa blinked. Change? Into what? Jing smirked, unlocking the car. Something that'll make my mother wonder why I haven't married you yet. Her cheeks burned. He enjoyed teasing her too much. Their penthouse was quiet, warm, and familiar. It was the only place in the world where she didn't have to pretend not to belong to him. Shasa walked straight to the bedroom while Jing disappeared into his closet. When she came out a few minutes later, she found a dress laid neatly on the bed. A soft, elegant off-shoulder ivory dress, expensive, delicate, and too beautiful for someone like her. She touched the fabric gently. Jing, this must have cost. Don't say it. He appeared behind her, already dressed in a crisp black shirt that made him look effortlessly powerful. You deserve beautiful things. She swallowed. I thought you bought nothing for personal reasons. I lied. Her lips parted. He stepped closer, fingers brushing her shoulder. Wear it for me. Her heart thudded loudly. Okay. When she stepped out after changing, Jing froze. Actually, froze. His eyes traveled over her slowly, darkening with emotions she rarely saw on him at the office. He walked toward her, slipped his hand behind her neck, and lowered his forehead to her own. Shasa, he whispered, voice rough. If we weren't already late, I'd keep you here. Her knees nearly gave out. Jing! He exhaled sharply before stepping back. Let's go. The Leon estate was massive, too grand, too polished, and too full of memories that Jing never liked talking about. Inside the dining hall stood the people who made his life difficult. His mother, Clarissa Leon, elegant, intimidating, and always suspicious. His half-brother, Leonhardt, handsome, smug, and the same man who nearly destroyed Shasa's family. And several relatives who cared more about wealth than relationships. When they saw Shasa walk in beside Jing, the room fell silent. Clarissa's eyes narrowed with interest. Leonhardt's smirk widened, and Shasa felt like prey entering a lion's den. Mother, Jing greeted politely. This is my assistant, Miss Shasa Ben. Clarissa's gaze swept over Shasa like a laser. So this is the young woman my son refuses to fire. Shasa stiffened. Jing answered calmly, I refuse to fire her because she's good at her job. Leonhardt leaned back in his chair. Is that the only reason, brother? Shasa's cheeks burned. Jing's jaw tensed. Clarissa's lips curled slightly. Come sit, Miss Ben. I want to know what kind of woman my son trusts so much. Jing pulled out the chair beside his, subtly claiming her in front of everyone. The gesture was not lost on the family. Leonhardt raised a brow, amused. Shasa sat, trying to keep her breathing steady. Dinner began politely. Too politely. Then Clarissa launched her first attack. So, Miss Ben, How long have you worked with my son? Clarissa began, sipping her wine. Almost a year, Shasa answered politely. And in that time, have you learned to manage his difficult personality? Jing's eyes narrowed dangerously. Shasa forced a smile. He's not difficult. He's just demanding. He knows what he wants. Leon coughed a laugh. Oh, he definitely does. Shasa's stomach twisted. Clarissa turned to Jing. She's quite protective of you. How interesting. Shasa's hands clenched under the table. Then Leon struck. Tell me, Miss Ben, do you spend a lot of late nights working with Jing? I've heard rumors. Jing's frozen expression cracked, rage flickering in his eyes. Enough, Jing said sharply. Leon smirked. Just curious. Office gossip is, colorful. Clarissa looked between them with raised brows. Are you two hiding something? Shasa's heart stopped. But Jing didn't blink. He didn't hesitate. He didn't look away. He simply reached under the table and took her hand. A silent reassurance. A silent promise. No, he said calmly. But if I were hiding something, Mother, you would be the last person I told. The entire table went silent. Shasa nearly choked. Clarissa stared at her son, offended but intrigued. You've changed, she said slowly, and I suspect this young woman is the reason. Jing squeezed Shasa's hand once before releasing it. She felt the loss immediately. Dinner ended with tension heavy in the air. As guests moved to the lounge area, Leonhardt approached Shasa. He stood too close, smiled too easily, spoke too confidently. I didn't expect to see you again, he murmured, especially not on Jing's arm. Shasa stiffened. Please don't cause trouble tonight. Trouble, Leon laughed softly. I don't need to cause trouble. You and Jing being together is already enough. We're not... Do you think I'm stupid? His voice lowered, gaze sharp. Jing never brings women to family events. Never. Not even acquaintances. Shasa's pulse raced. He leaned in. So what exactly are you to him, Miss Ben? Before she could answer, a hand wrapped around her waist, pulling her firmly away. Jing. His expression was ice. Stay away from her, he said quietly, dangerously. Leon smirked. Protective, aren't you? Don't test me. Leon stepped back with a shrug. Then tell me the truth. What is she to you? Jing's hand tightened slightly on her waist. It's my business and none of yours. He led Shasa away before Leon could reply. They finally returned to the car, silence wrapped around them. Only when the doors closed did Shasa finally exhale. That was... She swallowed. Terrifying. Jing didn't speak. He stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, eyes dark. Jing? She whispered. He turned to her slowly, his expression unreadable. Shasa, he said quietly. We can't keep doing this. Her heart dropped. Doing what? This, he said softly, touching her hand. Hiding, pretending, letting my family circle around you like sharks. She shook her head. We agreed. I don't care about the agreement anymore. Her breath caught. What? His fingers slid to her cheek. I don't want to hide you. I don't want to pretend you're nothing to me. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Jing leaned closer, voice dropping to a confession. I want you beside me, not as my assistant. His eyes softened, just for her. But as my wife. Shasa's heart, already fragile, shattered and reformed all at once. But Jing, she whispered, trembling, if your family finds out. He pressed his forehead against hers. Then let them. Her eyes widened. Jing, I've protected our secret long enough. His voice was low, steady, and terrifyingly sincere. I'm done pretending you're not the most important person in my life. Shasa's world tilted, shifted, and realigned around him. He cupped her face gently, so gently it broke her heart. Shasa, he breathed, I'm falling in love with you. The words hit harder than any danger, any conspiracy, any threat, because Shasa Ben had been falling for him, long before he ever admitted it.
Shasa didn't sleep that night. Not because she wasn't tired, she was exhausted, heart racing from everything that had happened. But Jing's words kept echoing in her mind, over and over, replaying like a whisper she couldn't escape. I'm falling in love with you. Shasa lay awake, staring at the ceiling while the city lights filtered through the curtains. Jing had kissed her forehead before falling asleep beside her, his arm draped around her waist like a protective band. She felt safe. She felt wanted. She felt terrified, because loving Jing Leon meant stepping into danger she wasn't ready for, and yet she couldn't walk away now. When dawn finally broke, she quietly slipped out of bed so he wouldn't wake him. But Jing wasn't asleep. The moment her feet touched the floor, his arm reached for her waist again, pulling her back gently. "Where are you going?" he murmured, voice husky with sleep. I wanted to make breakfast." His eyes opened slowly. "Come back." Her breath caught. "Jing." He tightened his hold. Just for a minute. She melted back into his arms because she could never resist him when he was like this, unmasked, soft, vulnerable. He rested his chin on her shoulder. "You left the bed like you were running away from me." "I wasn't running," she whispered. "Good." He turned her face toward him and kissed her forehead again, the gesture he only ever gave her. "I'm not letting you run." By the time they arrived at the office, nothing about Jing resembled the man who had whispered confessions in her ear last night. The cold CEO mask returned flawlessly, as if it had never slipped. But the office didn't feel the same anymore, because there were eyes on them. Too many eyes. Whispers spread like wildfire, quiet enough to pretend innocence, loud enough for Shasa to hear. Why did the CEO bring her in personally? He never walks beside anyone. I heard he had dinner with his family last night. Seriously? Then maybe she's... "Stop," someone hissed. "If he hears you, we're all dead." Shasa kept her gaze lowered, but her cheeks burned. She hated being whispered about, being seen, being judged. Emily Kay, the new intern, walked past with a smug smile. "Morning, Miss Ben," Emily said sweetly, though her tone was sharp as glass. "You look tired. Rough night?" Shasa froze. Emily leaned closer. "Oh, did the CEO keep you working overtime?" The words were innocent. The meaning wasn't. Shasa opened her mouth, but Jing appeared behind her so silently that Emily flinched when she saw him. "Intern K," Jing said flatly. "Yes, sir?" "You're assigned to the HR department starting today. Effective immediately." Emily's face drained of color. "HR? But I applied for the executive team." "You're not qualified." Jing said unemotionally. "Report to HR in the next 5 minutes." He walked past her without waiting for a response. Just a command, absolute and final. Emily glared at Shasa with hatred before storming off. Shasa's stomach twisted. Trouble was brewing. She could feel it. Later that afternoon, Shasa was organizing files when she felt someone approach behind her. Her fingers froze. Leon. Hart. Jing's half-brother. The man who smiled like a villain and spoke like he owned the world. He leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed, smirk perfectly in place. "Well, well," he drawled, "if it isn't the woman my brother would burn the world for." Shasa's breath trembled. "What do you want?" He walked into her office, closing the door behind him. She stepped back. "Relax," he said. "If I wanted to hurt you, I would have done it a long time ago." "That doesn't make me feel any better." He chuckled. "You're bold. No wonder Jing is obsessed." Shasa's heart pounded. "We're not—" "Spare me the lies," Leon cut in. "Jing may hide things, but his eyes don't lie. And last night, he would have killed me if I touched you." Shasa remained silent. Leon's smile faded slowly. "You're going to ruin him." Her eyes widened. "What?" "Jing has always been cold, logical, untouchable. But for you, he'd go against the family. And that makes you dangerous, Miss Ben." Shasa swallowed. "I'm not dangerous." "No," Leon said softly, "but loving you is." His words chilled her. Before she could respond, a knock came sharply at the door. The door opened. "Jing." His expression hardened instantly. "Why are you in her office?" Leon smirked. "Relax, brother. I was just introducing myself." Jing grabbed Shasa's wrist gently and pulled her behind him protectively. "If you ever speak to her alone again," Jing said in a calm, deadly voice, "I will end whatever games you're planning." Leon raised a brow. "Is that a threat?" "No," Jing said. "That's a promise." The tension in the room became suffocating. Leon studied them one last time, sighed, and walked out. Shasa's chest felt tight. "Jing, what is happening?" Jing looked at her with eyes darker than she'd ever seen. "My family is trying to pull you into their war," he said quietly, "but I won't let them." Shasa hesitated. "Jing, I don't want to come between you and your family." "You already are, and I don't care." That night when they returned to their penthouse, Jing poured himself a drink, a rare sign that he was upset. Shasa approached him slowly. "Jing, tell me what's hurting you." He froze. Shasa had learned something important about Jing Leon. He was a fortress, a locked vault, a storm always held behind glass. But tonight, the glass was cracking. He set the glass down and turned to her. "Shasa, you don't know what it's like being a Leon." She stepped closer. "Then tell me." He hesitated, then exhaled deeply. "My mother never loved me," he said quietly. "Not really. I was the child she had to raise, not the child she wanted." Shasa's heart cracked. "And my father," Jing continued bitterly, "loved the son he had with his mistress, Leon Hart." She realized the truth. Jing wasn't cold because he liked being cruel. He was cold because warmth had never been offered to him. Shasa reached out and took his hand slowly. "Jing, I'm sorry." He stared at their joined hands as if he didn't deserve her touch. "I don't want you caught in this," he murmured. "My family will not stop until they tear us apart." "Let them try," she whispered. "I'm not afraid." Jing's breath hitched. "You should be," he whispered. Because I won't survive losing you. Shasa cupped his face gently. Jing, look at me. His eyes met hers, raw, broken, wanting. You're not losing me. Not now, not ever. Something in him broke. He pulled her into his arms, tight, desperate, and held her like she was the only thing keeping him alive. Shasa, he breathed into her hair. Don't leave me. Not even if you're scared. Not even if they threaten us. She wrapped her arms around him. She didn't promise with words, she promised with the way she held him. For a long moment, Jing didn't speak. When he finally did, his voice trembled. I love you. The words slipped out before he could stop them. Shasa froze in his arms. Jing pulled back slightly, eyes widening as if he realized he hadn't meant to reveal that yet. Shasa's heart fluttered wildly. Jing, she whispered, her voice shaking. I shouldn't have said it. She placed a gentle finger on his lips. I love you, too. Jing's breath caught like he'd been punched. He didn't speak. He simply pulled her into him again, holding her so tight, her ribs pressed against him, as if he was scared she'd disappear if he let go. For the first time since their marriage, there was no cold CEO, no distance, no walls. There was only Jing and Shasa. Two hearts wrapped in one secret love that was now impossible to hide. Morning in the Leon residence usually brought a strange blend of serenity and tension. Serenity because it was their private world, tension because neither Jing Leon nor Shasa could fully relax when the outside world kept clawing at their secrets. But the morning after her parents' visit, the house felt different. A quiet storm hung in the air. Shasa stood at the kitchen counter pouring tea, her movements gentle but unfocused. Jing Leon leaned against the doorway, watching her. He had barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Shasa's mother gripping her arm and saying, "This marriage will destroy her life." Jing rubbed the bridge of his nose. He didn't want to force anything on Shasa. Not anymore. But he also wasn't willing to let her go. "Shasa," he said softly. She froze. Her eyelids fluttered before she turned, lowering her gaze. "Yes?" "We need to talk." Her lips tightened, and for a moment she looked like a deer ready to run. "I don't want to fight," she whispered. "Not before work." "We won't fight, but we can't pretend everything is normal." She swallowed. "I know." He stepped closer, slowly, giving her space to retreat if she wished. She didn't step back, but she didn't step forward either. "I want to do this right," he said. "Whatever you want, however you want, I'm prepared." Her fingers tightened around the mug. "Prepared for what, exactly?" "For a real marriage," he said. "Or for separation, if that's what will truly make you happy." The mug slipped from her hands and hit the counter with a sharp sound. Shasa's voice cracked. Why would you say that so easily?" "Because I care about you. Because I respect you." She looked at him, really looked at him, as if seeing the man behind the CEO mask. "And what about you, Jing Leon? What makes you happy?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached out and gently brushed her cheek with the back of his fingers. "You," he whispered. "You make me happy. You frustrate me, confuse me, challenge me. But the moment I open my eyes, the first thing I look for is you." Her breath hitched. "And when you're upset, it feels like the world is falling apart. I don't want a marriage of convenience, Shasa. I don't want a business arrangement. I want us. For real." Her eyes glistened, but she blinked the tears back. "Jing, it's not that simple. My parents..." Your parents want what they think is best, but only you know what's right for you. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Tell me honestly, are you unhappy with me? She pressed her lips together, the silence stretching painfully. No, she finally said. I'm not unhappy with you. Something in his chest loosened. But I'm scared, she added. I know. He stepped forward and rested his forehead against hers. So am I. By the time they reached work, the cold walls of Leon Enterprises seemed to swallow all softness between them. They walked side by side, but kept distance. No accidental touches, no secret glances. Professional masks on. Shasa returned to her desk. Jing entered his office and buried himself in back-to-back meetings. But the storm brewing outside their private world wasn't done with them. Around noon, Laura from HR stormed into the department, face pale, holding a printed email. Team, listen up, she whispered urgently. There's a leak. Everyone lifted their heads. Shasa froze. Her heart dropped. A leak? About what? About... Laura lowered her voice even more. This email came from an anonymous source. It claims CEO Jing Leon is secretly involved with an employee, a subordinate. Shasa's blood turned to ice. Someone gasped. Someone whispered, Seriously? Someone else said, Is that why he's so strict? No names were mentioned, but the board is already asking questions. Shasa's palms went cold. Her throat closed. Her vision flickered. Because the whispers had already started. Who could it be? Maybe someone from marketing. No, definitely someone from admin. Or maybe the new girl who works closest to him? Her heart pounded painfully. Jing Leon received the forwarded message from the board within minutes. The moment he read it, his jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Someone was attacking them. Someone knew or suspected something. Someone wanted to rip their secret world apart. He pressed the intercom. Shasa, my office. She entered timidly, eyes darting around. Close the door. She did, and then flinched when he slammed the printed email on the desk. You already heard, he asked quickly. She nodded faintly. Everyone is talking about it. He looked at her with equal parts anger and worry, not at her, but for her. Shasa, listen to me. His voice softened. This leak wasn't random. Someone is targeting us. Her chest tightened. Do you think they know everything? No, he said immediately. If they knew, they would have exposed it fully. But what if the next leak is worse? What if they find proof? Shasa, he said firmly, crossing the room to her, you are my wife. No one will touch you. But she stepped back. He froze. Her voice broke. That's the problem, Jing. If they find out, it will ruin everything. My career, your position, the entire company, and your family. My family doesn't matter, he snapped. To me, they do, she cried, because they'll blame me. And your mother, she already hates the idea of us. Enough. He grabbed her shoulders, not harshly, but urgently. Stop thinking about them. Think about us. She shook her head, tears spilling. But we are the reason everything is falling apart. He looked at her as if she'd stabbed him. Is that what you believe? He asked quietly. Shasa covered her face. I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm scared, Jing, and every time we try to protect the secret, we hurt each other. What if we made a mistake? His heart nearly stopped. Shasa, he whispered, voice trembling with a pain he couldn't hide. Say that again. She shook with emotion. I don't know if hiding this is worth it anymore. And our marriage? He asked. Is that a mistake too? Silence.
heavy, unforgiving, shattering. Shasa didn't answer, not because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't. Her fear had taken her voice hostage. Jing swallowed hard, stepping back slowly, as if each inch tore him apart. "Get some rest," he said stiffly. "Take the rest of the day off. I'll handle the board." She wanted to say something, anything, but her throat was too tight. She turned and left his office. The moment the door closed behind her, Jing pressed both hands to the desk and bowed his head. For the first time, he didn't know how to save them, or if he even still had the right to try.
The office felt heavier the next morning. Tension thickened the air like fog, wrapping around every corridor and every whisper. Shasa walked in quietly, head bowed, avoiding every curious glance that flicked in her direction. She knew. They all knew. Not the truth, but enough to suspect, enough to judge. And Jing Leon, he didn't come in. That alone terrified her more than the rumors. Jing was never absent, not without calling, not without informing her. She tried to work, but her fingers trembled over the keyboard. Every few minutes she checked her phone. No call, no message, no missed alerts. Nothing. It wasn't until nearly noon that Lara passed by her desk and whispered, "CEO Jing is meeting with the board via video conference. It sounds serious." Shasa's stomach clenched. Serious. The word echoed like a death sentence. Jing Leon sat alone in his home office, tie discarded, sleeves rolled, and jaw sharp from hours of tension. He stared into the camera as the 12 board members appeared on screen, each stern, each annoyed, some suspicious. "Jing," Mr. Han, the head chairman, spoke. "These rumors about you and a subordinate, this is a serious breach. It threatens the company's credibility. And we need clarity. Is there any truth to these allegations?" Jing's fingers tightened around the armrest. He could lie. He could deny everything. He could protect the image, the structure, the entire empire he'd built. But then he remembered last night. Shasa's trembling voice, her tears, her fear of being blamed, her fear of being a mistake. And suddenly, lying felt like the worst way to love someone. He lifted his head. His expression held no hesitation when he said, "Yes." The room went dead silent. The chairman raised his brows. "Yes? The allegations are true?" "No," Jing corrected. "They are not allegations. They are facts." The board stared, stunned. Jing continued with the same steady, lethal calm. "I am involved with an employee." Murmurs exploded. Hands slammed on desks. Expressions turned furious, shocked, betrayed. "And," Jing added, voice firmer, clearer, "I am married to her." Silence struck the room like lightning. One director shook his head. "This is unacceptable." Jing's eyes hardened. "What's unacceptable is your assumption that my personal life is up for your control. You hid a marriage from the corporation." "I hid it because it wasn't relevant to my performance. It breaches the ethics policy. My marriage does not violate any written policy." Jing countered sharply. "Check the HR handbook. There is no rule that forbids marriage to a subordinate. The only rule is that we must declare conflicts of interest." "And you didn't," Mr. Han snapped. "Because I wanted to protect her from exactly this kind of circus." The room stilled again. He leaned forward. "And now that the leak is out, I will protect her again. This time, publicly." Shasa had no idea what was happening in that meeting, but she knew something had changed the moment the boardroom doors flew open and several senior directors rushed out, looking pale. And then whispers grew louder than ever. "Oh my God, did you hear? He admitted it. He's married. To someone here." Shasa's world stopped. Her lungs refused to work. Someone tapped her shoulder. She turned to see Ms. Gray, the ice-cold head of the legal department, staring at her with chilling precision. "CEO Jing has requested that you come to the main conference room immediately." Shasa's knees felt weak. Is everything okay?" Ms. Gray didn't soften. "It depends." Shasa swallowed hard and followed her. Every pair of eyes in the hallway followed Shasa like she was walking to her own execution. When she pushed the door open, the room was full. Board members, senior managers, legal staff, HR heads. And Jing Leon, standing at the head of the table, expression unreadable, gaze locked on her the moment she entered. She froze. The entire room turned to look at her. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Jing exhaled slowly and said, "Everyone, this is Shasa Ben." Whispers erupted like sparks. Shasa felt small, exposed, terrified. Jing stepped toward her, ignoring every stare, every judgment. He stopped in front of her, close enough to touch, but not daring to, not here, not yet. "I've already told them," he said softly. "About us." Her lips parted. "Jing, why?" "Because hiding you was hurting you, and hurting us." His voice cracked ever so slightly. She blinked tears back. He lifted his chin, turning to the room. "I take full responsibility for keeping the marriage private. Any disciplinary action will be directed at me alone." A few board members nodded, a few scowled. But no one dared oppose him now, not with the way he stood, the way the truth hung in the air like iron. Shasa whispered, "Jing, you didn't have to do this." "Yes," he said, eyes never leaving hers. "I did." And then, without hesitation, he reached for her hand. Gasps filled the room. But he didn't care. He laced his fingers with hers and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "This is my wife, and anyone who thinks she earned her position through favoritism can speak to me directly." No one spoke. Not a single soul dared. Shasa's eyes filled with tears. She squeezed his hand back, softly at first, then with growing certainty. By evening, the entire company knew the truth. Some people congratulated them, some people gossiped, some people stared. But no one could deny one thing. Jing Leon had chosen Shasa boldly, unapologetically. When they reached the parking lot, she finally let out a long, shaky breath. "Jing." He turned. She stepped closer, hands trembling, and cupped his face. "You didn't lose your temper today. You didn't push. You didn't control. You stood for me." "I'll always stand for you," he said simply. "But you put your career at risk for me. You're worth the risk." Her throat tightened. "And what if I had said earlier that our marriage was a mistake?" His eyes softened painfully. "Then I would have let you go, even if it killed me." Shasa shook her head as a tear escaped. "I don't want to go." His breath stopped. Her voice broke but was steady. "I was scared, but losing you scares me more." Jing exhaled shakily, pulling her into his arms. He held her like she was something sacred, something irreplaceable. "Shasa," he whispered into her hair, "from now on, no more hiding. No more fear." She nodded against his chest. "No more secrets?" she whispered back. He kissed her forehead, long, deep, and gentle. "For the first time," he said, "I feel like we're finally starting our real marriage." She smiled softly. So, what are we now? He brushed his thumb across her lips. A cold CEO by day, and your devoted husband every moment after. She laughed quietly, wrapping her arms around him. And I'm your very unprofessional, hopelessly in love wife. He smirked. My favorite kind.